Hey, what's up, you guys? I wanted to pop in here, like I said I would on every Sunday, and kind of help you guys get planned for the week. I think that helps. I think intentionality is the key to life in terms of reaching your goals. And I think that sometimes is a struggle. I don't think it's something that's well taught. And but I think it's something that is vital for success in the areas that are important to you. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. They say, you guys are going to hear me say a lot of the same things, but that's okay. I mean, that's a good thing. If all of a sudden if it's 5 years later and you're hearing new things from me, I don't know, I'd start to worry. I think what happens is you start to hear the same things over and over again, and it starts to sink in, and then it starts to become second nature for you. And so, I learned a long time ago that the difference between people that struggle and people that are successful is those that are, successful are intentional. Intentional with their time, or intentional with their money, intentional with what they put into their body, just intentional with the things that are important to them. And so that's the first thing I have to ask you on this Sunday. I hope, and I know it's not second nature yet to a lot of people, but I hope what's becoming second nature to you guys is that Sunday becomes like your planning day, because it'll save you so much time in the long run and make your life more peaceful and enjoyable. And isn't that really at the heart of what we're after when it comes to life, is the peace, right? And the joy. And honestly, as I do a lot of mentoring, as I do a lot of studying and researching, this is kind of my personality, I notice that the joy is gone for a lot of people. And it'll make me cry. I think people have settled for it. I think they know their joy is gone, and they feel it is what it is, and they keep doing the same thing and getting the same result, and the wounds get bigger and bigger. And when you sit back on Sundays, or whatever your day off is, for me it's Sundays, to really look at your life, and you get to decide where you want your life to go. And that is so encouraging to me, because no matter where you're at, you can say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to go, this is where I want my plane to go. This is where I want my life to go. And now I can align my daily actions to achieve that. At any time in your life, you can make that decision. Will it look like a straight line? No, because you'll fall off the wagon, because you're human, and it'll go like this, and you'll make adjustments, but at least it's moving in that direction, whereas you were going that direction. Maybe yesterday, maybe last week, maybe a year ago. For me, it was 7 years ago. And so, but at the foundation of all of that, I had to decide what was important to me 7 years ago. Me, Summer. I had to get real with myself, not always taking in the opinions of other people that don't have to live my life, and Chalene Johnson is the first one that taught me that. So I sat down 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, and I really thought about what things did I value in life. Not worldly success, not what other people expected of me, but what at the end of my life, I'm sorry you guys, our lives are all going to come to an end, and we're going to have a few different scenarios, but one scenario could be is like, man, I wasted that one, and you don't get a redo. Or man, I wish I wouldn't have chased that for so long. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm always thinking, because there's this picture etched in my mind of not too long ago of Chad's grandfather holding Chad's grandmother's hand in the casket. And I wasn't able to be there. Chad was, and Chad sent me the picture. And I remember looking, thinking, I wonder if he was just like that. Just like that, it's gone. Hey, buddy, can you close the door? No. Thank you. No, close the door. I wonder if he was like, you know what I mean? Like, just like that. And I think, as I look around and I do a lot of mentoring and a lot of stuff with business, I notice that a lot of people are like folding. Like, I'm just done. and that makes me sad. I mean, that's one thing I love about this business is, yes, financially it can help you, and if you put the work in, it will help you. Not that we're taking over the world financially or something. Like, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of us are chasing money, and you know what? You're going to get a lot of money because you can make a lot of money, and you're going to still have the same problems. The same unforgiveness. Everybody thinks it can be fixed with money, but I do too much mentoring to know that it's not that, it's not that, And so what it comes down to is being intentional with our time. And the cool thing is when you start to be intentional with your time, a peace comes over you and it starts to attract people to you. And you start to help people because you started to align your life in a way that you shine again. And when you shine, people want to know what you got. Like, there's something different. Like, what's she got going on? What's he got going on? And people start to lean in. You don't have to force it so much. You don't have to, you know what I mean? It's like you start to align your life. A peace comes over you. And people are like, man, there's just something different about him, or there's so much different about her. And so, and that's something Chalene Johnson and Danny Johnson have driven into me, and I really wanted to bring to you guys today because I think a lot of times we get going and we think like, I have to do that, I have to do that. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's I came home. I spent a night away this week with a friend weekend, and we did a lot of talking, and then I had about 2-hour drive where I just think. I don't turn on the music. I just think, or I listen to some personal development books. I got home and I was talking to Chad, and I told him, I was like, it's really sad to me that we live in a society where people are like, it is what it is, and they don't want to take ownership. Nothing can change until you believe that you can change it. Because if you don't believe it'll change, you won't do the things that actually need to be done to change it. And so you have to decide, when you get to a point 7-8 years ago, I got to a point where I was done and I was willing to take the coaching from Chalene Johnson. I don't know, 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have been ready to take it, but at that time, thank God. And so I don't know who's listening that is at that point where like, finally enough is enough. Like I'm ready to take the coaching, but I'm going to keep sharing it. And I'm going to keep saying, because I don't know when you'll be in that stage of change to receive it and actually put it into action. But you have to decide what's important to you. Not what is important to you. Because when you align things up in a way that align with your heart, like I said, the peace comes over you. The peace comes, your husband, your wife can feel it. Your kids can feel it. The people around you, the people at work can feel it. Like, it's like this weird contagious thing. Like you guys might know people, some people like that. You're like, what in the heck? It's because they are unapologetically aligning their daily actions with things that are important to them, right? And so I'm going to ask you to pick 5 or 6 things. I'm going to share with you what I did. And it's Sunday. So today is the day that you can say, you know what? I'm doing it differently this week. It doesn't matter what happened last week. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what happened last week. What matters is what you do right this second forward. It doesn't matter what you said to your husband yesterday. It matters how you look at him right now. Right now. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you spent yesterday. It matters right now what you do with your finances and how you choose to spend your money. Do you see what I'm saying? Like right now, when you believe you have that kind of control, things start to change. Right? When you believe that financially things can be different, you don't spend money that you don't have because you start to align things. Your daily goal, your daily actions align very differently as to how you spend your money. Okay. So you have to pick, 5 or 6 things Chalene said that are important to you, and then those things have to make your calendar, right? And so I was writing notes before I got on the call with you guys. And so I want you to do this with me. I don't want you to be like, oh, if you guys want to know something that really bothers me, she's so motivating, and then nobody does anything. Because I don't want to be a motivational speaker. Motivation, woo, woo, rah, rah. I want to be an agent for change. You know what I mean? Someone that they're like, when they're ready, they know they can come here and I give them the recipe and they're ready, boom, and things start to change. I don't want to be someone that rah-rahs people up constantly. You know what I mean? And then nothing happens, and 2 years from now, you're like, nope, still in the same place. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that's what a motivational speaker is to me. I don't want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be an educator. I want to be someone that is an agent for change. So I want you to sit there. If you're saying, what are the things in your life that are important to you? Period. Don't try to think about what your parents said was important, or what your husband says things. What is important to you? You were woven in a certain way. Okay, and so when I sat down and did that 8 years ago now, almost 8 years ago, it was like, okay, and things change as to what's important to you, but back then, it was like, okay, my husband is important to me. And when you write that down and you take what I opened this with, saying that the difference between a successful marriage and an unsuccessful marriage is intentionality. Okay? The difference between a successful bank account and an unsuccessful bank account is intentionality. The difference between a successful, healthy body and an unhealthy body is intentionality. It really is. What you do with that piece of your life, right? And if you, so back then, Chad was important to me. So I started to align my daily actions with that, right? So I identified things that I needed to do to make sure that I could do, right? This is going to be a theme through the whole thing that I teach you today for the next 15 minutes, is that I could not control my husband. I cannot control my kids. I cannot control my coaches, right? I can't control a lot of things, but I can control what I do. I cannot control if Beachbody On Demand is down one day. You know what I'm saying? But I can control certain things, and I need to identify them and then get them on my calendar, right? And so for me, it's my husband's. I only have one. Sometimes it feels like multiple, but one. So I have one husband. My kids are important to me. I was trying to write down ideas for you. So my full-time working mamas and dads, work. I would hope you want to be excellent at work. So what can you do to be excellent at work? Hopefully that's important to you, right? Back then for me, my work, I was a group fitness instructor. So what could I do to be like the best damn fitness instructor, right? To really bring the energy, to really come and just go above and beyond in my job as a group fitness instructor. And one of the things I identified was getting certified in Turbo Kick. That would make me more diverse, and I would understand choreography better. And then music, so I needed to get better with music and all of those kind of things. I started studying fun, different moves that were creative, that would keep people excited in my class, right? So I identified those things. So you have to identify what's important to you. And if you're on all these different things, you can't be good at everything. But see, we live in a society where we are told, or somehow we internalize, that we're supposed to be everything to everyone. And let me tell you what ended up happening is you are mediocre at best. Mediocre at best when it comes to being a wife. Why? Because you're so freaking tired, and you're so irritable, and you're not fueling your body right, and you're not getting enough rest, that you don't even have the patience for when your spouse is having a bad day. Because your marriage is going to go like this. So if we're trying to be everything to everyone, we're trying to run this, and we're trying to run this, we're trying to make sure our kids are in a million sports, and we're going all over the place. When our husband has a bad day, we get pissed. You see what I'm saying? And it all comes from fear of rejection. We don't want anybody to reject us, so we're going to be everything to everybody, and then we're going to wonder why our life is falling apart. Well, why am I not successful? Because you're not intentional with your time, right? So every Sunday I sit down, I look at where my time went last week, I look at where my time needs to go this week to be successful. What do I need to tweak better this week, right? I'll tell you, one thing that is sucking the life out of all of us is the amount of texting that we do. The amount of flipping texting is ruining your marriage. Yeah, I said it. I got lots of things to say about texting and Facebook and social media and the amount of time we spend numbing our minds out and not dealing with our problems, not being connected with our spouse and stuff. All the time, I told Chad I got a love-hate with social media. I have a love-hate with that stupid phone. I love that I can be connected with people and at the same time. I hate what it's doing to people that can't put it on, airplane mode or put it down. I watch people in the stores. I watch people at their freaking kids' soccer games on their cell phones going like this. I see people in the airport getting ready to go on vacation with their kids and the dad scrolling through Facebook. Why? Is Facebook Life more exciting than the freaking kids that you have next to you that you're supposed to be taking on vacation? Are you kidding me? It is killing our society. It's killing our marriages. It's killing our self-worth. All of it. It can be used for good, but you better check yourself whether your social media, your phone, your texting is being used for good or being used for bad. You know what I'm saying? So intentionality. Intentionality with that cell phone. Right? Your husband pisses you off. Boom! Do you know what I'm saying? Like, to your mom, maybe. Your mother-in-law. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, boom, we have so much access to, that phone right away. We can just fire off at people. It's ruining us. Intentionality. Right? Intentionality. It is setting yourself up. So 1 was be intentional. 2 is identifying what's important to you. 3, what will you not sacrifice? What do you refuse to sacrifice? That's the word I'm looking for. Like for me, when it comes to my health, I refuse to sacrifice my insides for my outsides. I refuse to put something in my body or do something to my body just so I can see a number on the scale. Just so that I can be skinny. Okay? So for a business, for money, I refuse to sacrifice my character. Some people, they haven't identified that. They're more after the Success Club point. They'll do anything for the Success Club point, for the last jab, for the last word. I refuse to sacrifice my marriage for my tongue because I can be pretty sharp sometimes. That's just the honest truth. I have to I can be sharp. I can remember everything Chad has done to me. I used to keep records of wrongs until 7 years ago because was it working for me? No. Like, do you know what I mean? And so if I wanted something different, I had to do something different. So all of those things that I was saving up, that I had given up for Chad, that Chad had done to me, that this time that I was by myself, and all the things that I was doing that he wasn't doing, and blah, blah, all of it, all the times he would be on this trip in Vegas, and I'd see him at the bar, and I'd see how much was coming out of the account that wasn't there. I was keeping those records. I had it. It wasn't working. So I had to do something different. I had to be very intentional with hitting the forgiveness button, pushing the reset button, right? It wasn't working for me. I am not willing to sacrifice my marriage. Does that make sense? So you have to have these boundaries. You have to have these, I learned that a long time ago. I don't remember who taught that to me, but you have to know what you're not willing to sacrifice. I'm not willing to do, like I remember when someone told me in the business for the bonus to, like I was short for Elite this year. They told me to get creative. I said, no, I'm not. Creativity, I think the way it was meant was get creative, integrity-wise. I was like, no. You have to know those kind of things. So what do you refuse to sacrifice? I refuse to sacrifice my marriage for this business. Period. End of story. I refuse to sacrifice my kids for this business. Period. Period. Right? I don't care who's texting me, what they're doing. If I'm at a soccer game, I'm at a soccer game. If I get flack for it, I get flack for it. If people don't think I respond fast enough to text, that's on them. Because you know what? I already identified who's and what's most important to me in order. My husband, I didn't have much of a faith base back 7 years ago. It was my husband, my kids, my fitness journey, and this business in that order. Once I started to learn about faith, it went God, husband, kids, my fitness, and then this business. In that order. Business last. Money last. If you think that the money is going to fix all of this thing, I'm telling you, I watch a lot of things behind the scenes. It's not right. If you don't fix all of this stuff first, this won't come. And if it does, because those rules, reap what you sow, like all that stuff, those rules apply even when you're not following these rules up here. You get all the money, it's gonna accomplish. It puts, like, when you don't have, it puts a magnifying glass on who you are when you have more money. You know what I'm saying? Right? And so you have to get these things in line first. First, right? I see people, they get more money and these things aren't in line, they get more frustrated. More things happen. More things happen. They're making an extra $1,000, their husband's more frustrated. They're making a little bit more, their husband gets more frustrated because their head is buried in that phone more and more and more and more and more, right? So we have to identify what's important to us and make sure everything, the 5 things, 6 things that are important to us are on our calendar every single week so that we know what we did that week, work ethic wise, is in line with the direction we want to go. Now listen, sometimes when Chad was flying a plane, a storm would come through, right? And we have storms in our life and start to push us, and you have to overcompensate in a direction, right? You have to fly into the wind like that. That happens in life, right? So I'm not saying as long as you do all of these things, your husband's always going to be happy, because your husband's another human being. So sometimes your husband's the storm, right? Sometimes you're the storm, so stop judging him. That's what I learned a long time ago, to stop judging my husband, because guess what? If Jesus had to die for me, chances are my husband's going to piss me off a little bit. Right? If Jesus had to die for me and him, chances are he's going to get under my skin. And I'm not perfect. Right? I'm sure I get under. How egotistical is that of me to think that I don't get under Chad's skin sometimes? Right? Anyway. Okay, so sometimes Chad is the storm, right? So I have to overcompensate my plane, right? I have to fly into it, and so that I don't get off course, and you have to make those kind of corrections, right? But when you don't know what's happening, the storm just comes through and it turns you upside down because you're not even paying attention to the storm. Your actions aren't even flying you that way. You're on a joyride. You're like, man, this kind of sucks. I'm not even going the right direction. Boom! Like, do you know what I mean? But when you know what's important to you and you're very intentional with your time, those people are successful. And I'm not always talking worldly success. I know people that have a lot of money and they're miserable. Some of them are in this business. Seriously. You know what I mean? And so that's what I want you guys to do. You know what? That's what to me is so beneficial about this business. The things that I've learned like this that I would have never learned. I hadn't learned anywhere else. I didn't learn in high school, didn't learn it in college, didn't learn it when I was studying as a personal trainer. Chad wasn't taught it through the Marine Corps and through the officer program. No, it was this business that brought this stuff that brought me a lot of peace. And then of course, as you make more money comes more stress, and you need to be able to navigate that. See what I'm saying? And if I didn't have all of this, I wouldn't have. Right? And so you have to decide for you, because ultimately wherever you end up, wherever you're at right now, it's because your daily actions aligned with it. Like, I had to swallow that small, ugly pill 4 or 5 years ago with Chad. Our marriage, it wasn't falling apart, but it wasn't good. You know what I mean? It was just stressful. And I had to step back for a second and realize that why would I think it was any other way? I had fired off nasty text to him. He had fired off nasty text to me. I wasn't being an encouraging force in his life while he was deployed or while he was here. I was keeping records of his wrong. I would bring them up in little instances just to let him know what he had done to my life and how much harder he had made it. And just, it wasn't like we're not yellers, so I kind of stood on that a little bit. Like, I'm not a yeller. I'm more of a silent treatment. I'm more of a, I'm going to punish you by not talking to you. That's the kind of Wi-Fi. That is just as evil. That is a punishment. Like silent treatment. Like, people do that in like 2nd grade. Like, I was 32. Silent treatment. Not talking to you. Like, do you know what I mean? How ridiculous that sounds? Instead of being like, I need a second. You know, I need a second to step away, put my thoughts together. I want to make sure I don't say anything that I don't mean, but I would like to come back and talk through that. That would be a mature response, but instead it was like all communications off. Oh, you're texting me? You're trying to see how I'm doing while I'm pregnant? Trying to see how the business is doing? You're 7,000 miles away? How does that feel not to hear back from me? Ugh. And I had a lot of money. You see what I'm saying? We made well over 6 figures at that point. Yeah? So, where was I going with that? Oh, my daily actions. It was no wonder when Chad got back from deployment that he had this book right here. leave for God's sake. And someone had given it to him while he was deployed, and he walked in. He's like, you might like this stupid book. And he threw it at me. And I opened this book that night, and I did not put it down. I read the whole entire thing, and I realized I learned how to lead in my household. I learned how to lead in my business. I learned how to lead my kids. This changed my life. It's funny how God placed it in Chad's life. Chad was like, I got through like 2 pages. It's stupid. You know what I mean? And threw it at me because we weren't getting along. And because we weren't getting along, I was like, I need to read this, and it changed everything. And so what I realized is the way I was carrying myself, granted, he had done way enough things to me. We could blame it on Chad, right? Some things resurfaced while he was gone that was borderline integrity issues. Yes, he had some fault in it, but I have control over how I approach him, right? And so when I looked at my actions over that 8-month deployment, no wonder our marriage was right there. My daily actions towards Chad and in our marriage lined up exactly for where I was. There was no need for me to be surprised about where I was. But the cool thing is, especially with this tool, now I knew how to find my plane somewhere else, right? And so I had to own my fault in the whole thing and own what I could do in my power to change it, my side of things. I couldn't control him, but I could control me. And so that's what you guys have to do every day. Every Sunday, you have to ask yourself, did last week's actions line up with the things that are important to you? I would go as far as I would keep a phone log if I were you guys. Really, we should keep track of where our money goes. I mean, if we're having money issues, I don't know if anybody here is, but let me tell you, if you were to keep track and really look at where you spent your money, you wouldn't be surprised that you had money issues, but you would have to make hard decisions. Say, you know what? Maybe we don't go there this week. Maybe I don't get to go out with the girls. Maybe I do need to cancel my nails. You know what I mean? When you're looking, you keep a log and you tell your money where to go. I think we should keep a phone log. I think we should keep a phone log as to how much time are we spending texting people? And is it productive texts? Right? Is it productive text? And why? Why aren't we just taking action in the things that are important to us? Are we texting too much? Are we on? How much time do you spend just scrolling and mind numbing? Is there something else that you could do during that time that would serve you? Like read this instead of scrolling Facebook, or read She Works His Way, or go up into the bathroom and rip your shirt off and get a sexy picture. Text that to your husband instead of bitching about your husband to someone. Do you guys see what I'm saying? We definitely have, I'm telling you, sending a nasty text to your husband or sending a naked text to your husband is going to get totally 2 different responses. And whether you decide to send a nasty text or the sexy text has nothing to do with what he's done and everything to do with your decision making and your intentionality. Okay, so once you do that, once you identify everything that is important to you, right? And so you might put friends on there. But be intentional with that. It doesn't mean mindless texting all the time. You might have a friend coffee date with someone, right? Or a mimosa morning with them, something. But the mindless, or a cookout or something. But all this texting, I'm telling you, it is what is feeding into the lack of connection that we have in this country, the loneliness that we have. If you read the polls, the feeling of loneliness and isolation is higher than it has ever been. But our ability to connect through Facebook Live, Instagram stories, and freaking texting is at an all-time high. Think about Instagram stories. Seriously, I don't understand it. I'm on it because I was told I needed to for business, and I'm telling you, if there's anything I know how to do is be disciplined in business and do what I'm supposed to do to be successful in business. But I don't understand why anybody's watching it. I'll go on there, I'm like, I don't understand. I'm looking at your freaking pizza. Why do I want to look at the pizza? Oh, you got off the airplane. Awesome. I don't really know what to do with that. I don't get it. Why are we all watching that? I don't understand. We wouldn't be if we were intentional with our time. 4. Now your business has to make the calendar. For your business to be successful, it has to make your calendar. Not all day. That's how you create an unsuccessful life. An unsuccessful life is one where the phone is in your hand constantly. A frustrated life, the phone, it's almost like an extension of your body. Do you know what I mean? Like an extension. People they don't go anywhere without their phone. Like, do you know what I mean? Like what? I feel like we should get these, we should glue them to our head or something. You know what I mean? I see everybody walking around, they even have these little knobs now. I see people with that are on the back of their phone, so they don't have to grip the phone anymore. It can just hang. You know what I mean? They can just talk. It can hang. It doesn't take as much energy as what someone told me, because this takes a lot of energy apparently. And when you have the little thing, it can just sit in between your finger. I mean, really? Really? Sad to me. Okay, so your business has to make your calendar so intentionally every single day. So the things that I want you to do to focus on this week is, what are the things in your business that have the most impact? It's like with your husband. What are the things that you could do that would have the most impact on, I should say husband or wife, because I know we have men and women. What are the things that are most impactful? So you have to know your husband. I don't care what you like, right? It doesn't matter what you like. You're serving your spouse. Right? And you're serving your spouse. So for me, I'm an acts of service. I'm not a physical touch. I don't need touch all the time. I need my space. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Chad, he's just touchy, and I need to touch him. He needs touched. I need the toilet paper to be put on the toilet. Don't make me, I don't complain about it, but something that really gets my attention is acts of service. Right? And so when Chad looks at what he can do to really, he makes the bed before I do. That's an acts of service, and that really makes me happy. And that's how I'm wired. For him, he'd care less if I made that. If I made the bed, it would not be for Chad. It'd be for me. You know what I'm saying? So I have to figure out what's important to Chad. He likes sexy pictures. I'm not really sure what guy wouldn't. That's what he always says, is what guy wouldn't like that. But so I'm very conscious of whether I do that or not. Do you know what I mean? I send sexy pictures. I send sweet texts, whether he's been edgy with me or not. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I control what I send back. I can kill someone with kindness. That's what I realized. That's how Chad and I healed. He continued to be a jerk. I continued to be nice. He continued to be a jerk. I didn't care. I stuck with him. I was nice. I was nice. You can throw arrows. You can throw arrows. I'm nice. I love you. I'm nice. I love you. And he started to heal. As much as he tried to push me away, I wouldn't let him. And he was pushing me away because he didn't feel worthy of it. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's a reason people put their walls up. You know what I mean? They're afraid they're going to screw you up. They're afraid they're going to screw up their family. They're afraid they're not enough. But if you keep, you know what I mean? So I recognize that about him. And I found out, what are the 3 things that make Chad tick? Well, he likes to come home to a calm house. I thought to myself, I have 3 children. I run a big business. We live in the middle of nowhere, California, by ourselves. How the hell am I going to make that happen? But when there's a will, there's a way. And I did. I said, hey, can you just text me when you're 10 minutes out, babe? Yes. Okay. So 10 minutes out at a stoplight, he would text me. I would get Ollie set in his high chair with his Cheerios, and I'd put a show on for all 3 of them. I would clean up the house. When he walked in the door, I was waiting for him. Calm house. Now, 10 minutes before he walked in, a little chaotic. You know what I mean? There were skateboards rolling around and all this kind of stuff, but he likes the calm house. That helps him. I listened. I found a way. Did it. Do you see what I'm saying? Every single day. Every single day. So in the business, you have to figure out the 3 to 5 things that have the most impact in every single day. Not, oh, well, no one's responding to me. Oh, no one's doing this to me. Oh, no. It's because Chad wasn't really responding to me at first either. It's not conditional love. It's not a conditional business. It's an unconditional. This is what I do. And I know if I do it over and over and over again, it'll get me there. And it does. And it does. As long as you're willing to listen and teach, you're coachable. I was willing to listen to Chad's needs. I was willing to tweak what I was doing. Instead of getting all offended and everything I just tweaked what I was doing. Why? Because my husband, the marriage was important to me. So when the business is important, you have to know why it's important to you. Why is the business important to you? You have to know why. And when you know why, then you are willing to do the 3 to 5 things. You need to make your list today. You guys, I'm going to run out of, my phone is beeping at me. You need to make a list today. You have to know, and Courtney and them have talked about this on numerous calls. You have to have a list of people, and then you have to be willing to connect with them every single day. It's the relationship business, right? You have to be willing to get to know them, their needs, their goals, what are their wounds, their struggles, all of those things, right? And we do that slowly over time. Yes, unfortunately, we can do that on social media. Why? Because that's where everybody's at. So we can use it for good. That's what I decided, but I'm not going to be the one that's on the social media all the time. Because I won't sacrifice I'm not going to get to the end of, how people say no one gets to the end of their life and says, man, I wish I worked more. I don't think anybody's going to get to the end of their life and be like, man, I wish I would have checked Facebook one more time. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay, so you need your list, you need to connect, you need to be inviting, right? You need to be setting the example to your challenge groups, right? So that means tonight you're in the fitness business. How cool is that? For me, when I first started my fitness journey, when I made like the 3 to 5 things under each bucket, that's what I used to call them. So under I had a husband bucket, I had a kids bucket, I had a fitness trainer bucket, and then I had this business bucket. Each one had 3 to 5 things. My fitness didn't go under my husband. It didn't go under my kids. It now goes in a different area, but I didn't even have a God bucket, but it went under my business bucket because in my head, I was like, this makes sense to me. If I'm not showing progress, if I'm not setting the example, why would anybody else think it works? You know what I mean? What is the fastest way to prove to people something works that they can't argue with, they can't make fun of, nothing, is to wear it on your body. To wear it. And that's exactly what I did. And so I wanted so bad to build this business. I was willing to wake up early. I was willing to do P90X for 90 days. I read the P90X meal plan guide. Seriously, we didn't have containers back then. I was willing to put Shakeology in my body, even though I wanted to chew my food, like I told Chad. So that is what bucket my personal journey went on, and I knew when I looked at it at the end of each week, if I didn't work on my journey, why would I expect my fitness job to succeed? My fitness business, why? Do you know what I mean? That was one of the things I thought to myself, that I have to make progress in. That is where people are going to get hope for. That is when people are going to say, yes, that's working for her, why not me? Right? And so that's the category that it went in. I mean, it since has changed to my God bucket. That's a personal thing, and really taking care of myself and sleep and all of that kind of stuff. But it first started out in that business bucket. And that's something that I did every single day to move my fitness business, this business, in a positive direction. And I didn't see how it can move in a positive direction without it. That was my honest truth. If I don't move in a positive direction with my fitness, how can my business move in a positive direction? Not perfection. I've never had a six-pack. So that's like your spouse. That's like your husband. I'm going to be honest. How can your marriage move in a positive direction? It's like this kind of, these are like equal to me without sex. It can't. It's biblical. It can't. Do you know what I mean? That if we aren't roommates, me and Chad did not say I do to be roommates, to sleep in separate rooms, or never to have sex. You know what I mean? It's the same to me. That has to be one of my things. That is a non-negotiable in that bucket that makes it succeed. Just like the non-negotiable in my business bucket is my fitness journey. I have to do it. I have to if I want it to succeed. Right? So, one thing that I identified for my kids is for that to succeed, I had to be awake before them. I have to. I cannot be answering questions like they ask, just rolling out of bed. I can't. I'm not a good mom when I do that. So if I want that bucket to thrive, the kid bucket, I have to be up before them. I have to be ready for them so that I can be patient, so that I can be kind, so that I can create calmness in the household. That was something I identified, and that was for my kids. And so when I didn't do that, I felt like I was saying, you're not important. You're not important. You know, that's not important to me. And I'd ask myself because I would mess up and I would not get up, or I'd stay up too late. I'd say, Summer, are you saying your kids aren't important anymore? Summer, are you saying your marriage isn't important anymore? Summer, are you saying your business? No, it is. Okay, I need to make the adjustments. And so that's what I want you guys to do. When you do this, I'm telling you, and you stick to it, your life
is going to make me cry. Your life, you find peace in your life. And people are going to attract to that, but even more, you're going to live again. And you can't put a price tag on that. And that's something I learned in this business that is worth way more than any paycheck I've ever received on a Thursday. So that's why I wanted to teach that today, because I don't care how much money you make. If you don't have this right here, what I just taught you, will change your life if you're willing to put into action. Is it easy? No. We have habits that we've had for 30 some years. You know what I mean? There's hurts and there's wounds, but I'm telling you, this process helps the wounds heal. It does, because otherwise the bitterness, the resentment, or whatever's going on, that helps the wound fester. It keeps it open. I've lived it. I know it. Man, if I told you some of the stories, I was telling Liz Taffel some of the stories. She was like, really? Like, holy cow, Summer, that's bad. I'm like, I know, but it happened. Like, do you know what I mean? And this is how we healed. And this is how I healed through some things that I went through growing up, or early on with Chad and I and stuff. Like, this right here, what I just taught you guys, is how I healed. Not by holding on to it, not by demanding anything out of Chad, by controlling my actions and being very intentional with my time. I have found a life that I don't care. I'm gonna be honest, I don't care if I never got another paycheck. We could move to a smaller house, I could get rid of my car, and we would have a peaceful, amazing life. I don't care. I don't. And we have talked about getting a smaller house before and donating more, because I just don't care. It's not in the money. It's not. Our society teaches that, but it's not. It's in this, being intentional with your time, because when you take your last breath, I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, yep, I did good. This was good. And you can have peace in that. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Happy Sunday. I hope you take some time to take this seriously, because I'm telling you, it'll change your life forever. I love you guys. Talk to you later. See ya.